Battle of Arnhem. 1944, the turning point of World War II. Nazi Germany is on the brink of collapse. The Allies can smell victory. But right at that moment, one of the most daring, or perhaps most insane, military operations in history kicks into gear. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of the Battle of Arnhem, right from the heart of Operation Market Garden. But this isn't just a war story, folks. This is the story of one bridge too far. This is the story of maybe we got a bit carried away with the airborne thing. And yes, this is the real story behind that legendary film, A Bridge Too Far, starring Sean Connery. If you're ready, let's dive in. But fair warning, this video will take 15 minutes because squeezing this story into 5 minutes would be like parachuting into Arnhem and saying, we came, we saw, we went back. So grab your coffee because we're heading to September 1944. First, let's understand the situation. Summer 1944. D-Day was successful. The French coast is in Allied hands. But here's where the problem starts. As they push toward Germany, the Allied supply lines, that long convoy of trucks carrying ammunition, food, and fuel, keep getting longer. From Normandy to Berlin is a long way, and the rivers along this route, well, they're a nightmare. Now think about these rivers: the Somme, the Escaut, the Maas, the Waal, and finally, the Rhine. All natural barriers, all advantages for Nazi defense. Every river has bridges, every bridge has German soldiers, and every German soldier is saying, "You shall not pass." This is exactly when British Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery, Monty, gets a bright idea. What if we parachute in and capture the bridges, he says. What if we go by air? And so Operation Market Garden is born. Market is the airborne part. Garden is the ground tank column. The plan? Cross 3 major rivers through Holland, the Maas, the Waal, and finally the Rhine. 3 bridges, 3 airborne divisions. Then the tanks roll in and rescue everyone. Sounds easy, right? But here's the catch. The last bridge, the one at Arnhem, is 64 kilometers deep inside enemy territory. So the paratroopers drop in, capture the bridge, then wait 64 kilometers inside German territory while surrounded. And the tanks? They've got to cover those 64 kilometers. Narrow roads, German defenses, and time. Time is everything. Monty's plan is driven by the dream of ending the war in 1944. We'll be in Berlin by Christmas, they say. Even Churchill gets excited. But the question is this plan truly brilliant? Or is it insanity that looks brilliant? September 17th, 1944. Sunday. Clear skies, light winds. Ideal conditions for paratroopers. At airfields across eastern England, 1,546 aircraft and 478 gliders stand ready. This is the largest airborne operation in history. Now there are 3 main airborne divisions in this operation. First stop, Eindhoven, and the 101st Airborne Division, American. Nicknamed Screaming Eagles, these guys will capture the southernmost bridges over the Maas River. Plan: drop in, capture, hold until the Second Army's tanks arrive. Second stop, Nijmegen and the 82nd Airborne Division, American. Called the All-American, this division targets the massive bridge over the Waal River. This bridge is the key to the road to Arnhem. If it falls, things get complicated. Final stop, Arnhem and the 1st Airborne Division, British. The Red Devils. This is the British Army's elite unit, a full 10,000 men. Their mission? Capture the bridge at Arnhem and hold it for 48 hours. 48 hours. Then the tanks arrive, everyone gets rescued. At least, that was the plan. But here's the first problem. Only one drop zone was designated for Arnhem, and this zone is 8 to 13 kilometers away from the bridge. So the guys drop in, then run to the bridge. 10,000 men, with equipment, through enemy territory. marching 8 kilometers. This isn't really airborne. It's more like air-landed and marching. And there's another issue. The British gliders, the Horsa gliders, are very delicate. The landing zone is narrow. Many gliders crash in the wrong places. Some fall into rivers, others into fields. And the equipment? Heavy weapons, anti-tank guns, radios, most of it is lost or damaged. But still, on the afternoon of September 17th, thousands of parachutes open over Arnhem. Dutch civilians go wild with joy. We're saved, they think. But here's the irony. This liberation will be the beginning of an even greater catastrophe for them. The British paratroopers, led by 2nd Battalion Commander John Frost, reached the northern end of the bridge. Yes, just the northern end. The southern end, still under German control. But Frost and his men are determined to hold that bridge. "We're here and we're staying here," they say. But here's the big problem. The radios don't work. No communication. They don't know where the main forces are. And the Germans? They're already on the move. Now everyone thought, the Germans are already beaten. What can they do? But here's a name for you. Wilhelm Bittrich, commander of the 2nd SS Panzer Corps. And this man had retreated to rest right near Arnhem. Yes, you heard that right. In the exact area where the British were dropping paratroopers, a full German panzer unit, tanks, armored vehicles, experienced SS soldiers, was resting. This isn't an intelligence error. It's an intelligence catastrophe. British intelligence knew this unit was there, but reported it as combat ineffective. By combat ineffective, they meant low on fuel, but tanks are still tanks, and SS soldiers are still SS. Bittrich springs into action the moment he sees the paratroopers. The 9th SS Hohenstaufen and 10th SS Frundsberg Panzer Divisions head toward Arnhem. These are professional soldiers. They've fought on the Eastern Front. They've seen blood. And now facing them, paratroopers. Lightly armed, unequipped, unsupported paratroopers. But here's the interesting part. The Germans are surprised too. What are they doing here, they wonder. Because Arnhem's strategic value isn't actually as high as Monty thought. But when an airborne division drops in, they think there must be something here, and redirect their forces there. September 18th, the first clashes begin. The British paratroopers fortify houses around the bridge. Every house a fortress, every street a front. But German tanks are coming. Panzer IVs, Stugs, and the British anti-tank weapons? Most are lost, the rest are insufficient. Frost and his men hold the northern end of the bridge. For 4 days. For 4 full days, one end of a bridge stands against a regular army. It's like the Spartan story, but the modern version. But here's the difference. The Spartans fought to the death because that was their orders. These men, they're waiting. Waiting for the tanks. Waiting for help. But it doesn't come. Why? Because the XXX Corps, the garden part, can't advance. Single-lane roads, stiff German defenses, resistance at every bridge. It took them 1 day to reach Eindhoven, 3 days to reach Nijmegen. Arnhem, those 64 kilometers feel like 640 kilometers. And at Nijmegen, there's a massive battle. The 82nd Airborne crosses the Vaal River to capture the bridge. This is Operation Berlin, crossing the river in small assault boats, open targets. Heavy casualties, but the bridge is captured. But here's the problem. The captured bridge is halfway to Arnhem. The other half is still closed. And time? Time is running out. By September 20th, Arnhem is a ruin. The British at the northern end of the bridge are now trapped in a few houses. Radios don't work, ammunition is running low, casualties are mounting. With every shot fired, they wonder, is this my last bullet? Commander Frost is wounded, but continues to resist. Among the men are civilian helpers, Dutch resistance fighters, volunteers. Women carry ammunition, children relay messages. This is a city's last stand. But September 21st marks the beginning of the end. The Germans capture the houses one by one. Every house falling means a few more square meters lost. The paratroopers retreat to basements, tunnels, sewers, fighting the city from below. This isn't underground warfare. It's survival warfare. And here's the most touching part. The Dutch civilians. They thought these men were their liberators, but now their houses are burning, their neighborhoods destroyed. And still, they help the paratroopers. They bring food, help them hide, sometimes die doing so. On the evening of September 21st, Frost is forced to surrender. Ammunition exhausted, no food, wounded can't be treated. The 4-day, 4-night resistance ends. But this isn't the end of the battle, because in other parts of Arnhem, British paratroopers remain. In Oosterbeek, to the west of the city, the remainder of the 1st Airborne Division holds out in a perimeter called the Cauldron. This perimeter is 1 square kilometer. Inside are 3,500 British soldiers, wounded and fading hope. Between September 22nd to 25th, hell is lived in this perimeter. Every day, German attacks. Every night, silence and cold. The wounded gather in a church. Doctors operate, sometimes with just knives, sometimes without anesthesia. And still the radios don't work. No connection to the outside world. But here's the interesting thing. This silence is actually an advantage, too. The Germans don't know the full situation either. How many of them are left, they wonder. At midnight on September 25th, the final order comes. Withdraw from the perimeter. Cross the river to Allied lines. This is Operation Berlin, the escape operation. About 2,000 men row, swim, cross the river to the other side. Some drown. Some are caught in German fire. But about 2,000 make it. Those left behind, 600 wounded, have to surrender. And the dead, the exact number is unknown. But 1,200 to 1,500 British paratroopers remain in Arnhem soil. Forever. September 26, 1944. Operation Market Garden ends. But this isn't a victory. It's a strategic failure. Yes, Eindhoven and Nijmegen are liberated. Yes, southern Holland is free. But Arnhem? It's still in German hands. And the Rhine? Still uncrossed. Casualties. The British 1st Airborne Division is virtually destroyed. Of 10,000 men, about 2,000 remain. The American divisions also suffered heavy losses. Total casualties, 17,000. And in return, a few bridges, a few kilometers of ground. So why did this operation fail? Here are a few reasons. 1. Intelligence failure. They knew those SS Panzer units were there, but called them insignificant. Insignificant Panzer divisions mean death for paratroopers. 2. Airborne planning. Single drop zone, far from the bridge, insufficient gliders. This made the guys fast and furious into slow and vulnerable. 3. Timing. They were supposed to wait 48 hours. They waited 9 days. When the tanks couldn't come, everything was over. 4. Air support. Bad weather prevented aircraft from flying. Reinforcements didn't come. Supplies didn't drop. But here's the interesting thing. This failure actually created a legend. A bridge too far. This phrase comes from this battle. And this battle became a symbol of paratrooper courage and professionalism. Frost and his men attempted the impossible. And for a while, they succeeded. Also, this battle is crucial for Holland. Arnhem and surroundings remained under German occupation until the end of the war. The Hunger Winter of 1944 to 45 killed thousands of Dutch by starvation. If Market Garden had succeeded, maybe this would have been prevented. But it wasn't. And finally, this battle entered cinema history. In 1977, Richard Attenborough's A Bridge Too Far told this story. Sean Connery, Michael Caine, Anthony Hopkins, Robert Redford, an all-star cast. The film tried to stay true to real events and is still among the best war films today. But remember, the heroes in the film were real people. They really died, really got wounded, really waited. And really, one bridge was too far. And here we are at the end of the video. For 15 minutes, I've tried to tell you what happened in a Dutch city in September 1944. I hope this story has left something with you, as it has with me. The Battle of Arnhem is full of what not to do lessons in military history, but it's also full of do your duty, no matter how hard lessons. The men on that bridge knew it was impossible, but they held on anyway. Maybe that's why, 80 years later, they are still remembered. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was Monty right? Was Frost really a hero? What would you have done? We can discuss questions like these. Also, if you want more information on this topic, the film A Bridge Too Far and Cornelius Ryan's book of the same name are the best sources. I recommend them. See you in the next video. Until then, learn from history, but remember, history isn't just lessons. It's human stories. And Arnhem is full of human stories. Goodbye.